Good morning and welcome to the daily cyber briefing for Tuesday, the 24th of December. I'm Stephen Ridgway. Sure, it's absolutely what you want to know on Christmas Eve. However, there are some vulnerabilities for which there are patches that it is worth having a little think about. So, first one, Apache Tomcat vulnerability, CVE 2024 56337. Which allows for remote code execution. And it has been described as an incomplete mitigation for CVE 2024 50379, which had a CVSS score of 9.8. So if you are using Apache Tomcat, which is quite a lot of people on quite a lot of websites, it is definitely worth having a look for this. There are fixes available for the version 11, version 10, and version 9 streams. Also, if you are using Java, who isn't, then you need to be certain that the Java streams that you are using are the right ones. So if you're using Java 8 or Java 11, you are required to explicitly set the system property sun.io.use canon caches to false. It defaults to true. Java 17 set the property to, set the property sun.io.use canon caches to false. If it has already been set, those versions it defaults to false. Java 21 and later, no actions required. The property's been removed. So version 8 and 11 are insecure by default. You need to go in and do something. Version 17, Java 17, is secure by default, but if you've changed it, you need to go and change it back. 21 later, that particular property isn't set anyway. So a little bit of work to do there on Tomcat. Adobe is also warning of a critical cold fusion bug, which has proof of concept exploit code at the moment. So Adobe's released an out-of-band security update to address critical cold fusion vulnerability. It is tracked as CVE 2024 53961. It's a path traversal weakness in Cold Fusion versions 2023 and 2021. Patches are available, I believe, for this. It's relatively recent. The advisory was released on yes. So yes, out-of-band updates are available. So the out-of-band update was released yesterday. If you are using Cold Fusion, strongly recommend you take a look at this and patch if applicable. It's yes, it is a pain. Hopefully your change control processes and change freeze, don't change freeze patching. Yes, it is Christmas Eve, and there you are. You will have to risk assess whether it's more risky to leave this until after Christmas, when presumably or quite likely you've got more people available to deal with the fallout if the patching goes wrong, or which is more likely to cause you problems. The higher risk is you're going to get attacked, or the higher risk is you're attempting to do something when your teams may not be at full strength. I can't answer that one. So an article that I came across in Cybersecurity News is pointing out that that there is a viral TikTok myth about insecurity of Apple Pay via AirDrop. The myth is that you can get that your Apple Pay cards can be stolen in walk-by or the equivalent of drive-by attacks if you've got AirDrop enabled. This is wholly false. They're quite in the article. There's quite comprehensive information that demonstrates why this is not true. It has been tested and it isn't true. It is just one of those stupid bits of misinformation designed to worry people that don't necessarily have the insight into this stuff that they should have. It's not funny, guys. Don't fuck about with this shit, please. So basically, AirDrop by default is either off or enabled only for contacts. Okay, if you enable AirDrop to anyone, unless you do something, to the best of my knowledge, it resets back to either contacts or off, contacts only, or off after about 10 minutes. Either way, AirDrop doesn't allow for pull information. It's a push system. And the card details in Apple Pay are not accessible to other parts of the operating system. In any system, I'm not going to say there would never be a vulnerability that would allow for that, but just as a generality, Apple Pay is segregated and very well encrypted and protected. So this is just something stupid out there to scare people, make them feel uncomfortable. So if you hear of anybody propagating this particular myth, feel free to make them feel a bit silly for not checking it out first of all. And then finally from me for today, there is an article in Security Week about one of my pet concerns, which is AI rather, not API this time, AI general architectural vulnerabilities. There is a tendency in organizations to have shadow AI going on. Now, we're all aware of sort of shadow IT. So broadly, if you make systems, if you put controls around systems that get in the way of technical people trying to get the job done as they see fit, they will be remarkably innovative about working around your systems. And it isn't just technical people. So, let me give you an example of an organization that I worked for in the past, which should have known better given the industry that they were in. Website was hosted by not a particularly good hosting company. New marketing director comes in, looks at it and goes, well, we've got to do something about this. This is rubbish. And armed with a credit card, goes off and buys a hosting service from some other organization and then develops what quite frankly wasn't a great but was different website. Without going through any form of change control or without even notifying anybody that this was happening. So the first thing that anybody knew about this was when the site, which had been up for a very short period of time, was then hacked. Now that's a good example of shadow IT solutions being put in place by people because it supports their strategy, but is done outside of the checks and balances that the organization has put in place to ensure that everybody's strategies are delivered in a way which the company is happy with and the company has appropriately risk assessed. Well, there's a variation on this based around shadow AI. Now, shadow IT, although it isn't really shadow IT in the sense of physical stuff much these days. It's generally shadow cloud environments that are a problem. Well, shadow AI is almost undoubtedly being used in ways which um, have not been properly risk assessed. So if your organization has an AI policy, this is stuff which is going on outside of that. So you may have risk assessed various providers of AI, and you may have risk assessed various ways in which AI can be used, but that doesn't stop people from signing up to services in some other way. Now that might be kind of pseudo officially, just if you've got a company credit card, you can do many things. It may be using free and or open source AI solutions. Well, open source, at least one hopes that you've got some control over how it's being done. If it's, as it were, sort of theoretically free, well, it isn't. They're taking your data and selling it on because that's how they're making their money. So it is something to watch out for. Again, it is going to be tricky to get on top of this sort of stuff because it's very hard to know that it's going on, especially in a cloud environment. However, it is worth thinking about these things because data leakage, compliance risks, general lack of oversight, legal risks may also be a problem here. I think the answer to it is have a robust policy around what can be used and how it can be used. Have some pretty strict penalties for people that don't follow the rules to be discouraging, and be seen to enact on those when things go wrong. But don't make the policies and processes that people have to follow so restrictive that they're willing to take the risk. The risk of them not being able to get the job done, and consequently has a very direct personal impact on things like their end of year or appraisals, bonuses, promotions, whatever it might be. If you threaten people with that sort of stuff, they will do all sorts of very strange things in order to try and work around that. So make it possible to do the job, but make it possible to control how the job is being done. Probably the best I can come up with. Right, that's enough from me for today. I hope you have a good Christmas Eve. Happy Christmas to everybody, and I'll speak to you again on the 27th.